What's up everyone, once again we're back in another video. Before we get into this one, just letting you guys know, unfortunately today's live stream is not going to happen. I have work. I mean, real life just happens. I can't always prevent work from bleeding into my content creation life, so I'm gonna have to sit this one out. However, this was supposed to be today's discussion. We'll probably postpone it to Saturday if you guys are still interested by then, but I assure you this video is worthwhile, in my opinion, at least a conversation. So a couple days ago, I had people send me a video. I mean, it's kind of like a meme video, but it did make a statement, quite a bold one at that. So the video is talking about why Fontaine is doomed to fail. Now, they did mention some things that were kind of memey, but other things that, in my honest opinion, warrants people's attention, because a lot of Fontaine is just what it's going to be, a pretty much reskin of what every other region release has been. More mini games, a whole new area to explore, find chests. You guys are probably just going to go to the interactive map, right? Open that, copy paste, follow it through, watch guides when you run into difficult puzzles, play through the story, whatnot, yada yada yada. And there's going to be underwater exploration, which is great for people who want a change of pace, but ultimately I don't think that's going to amount to any crazy mechanics in the game that actually will change how we interact with Genshin Impact's landscape. Like, for example, you're not going to go back to Mondstadt, Inazuma and go underwater. It might just be a very limited zone or something like that. I don't see Genshin going above and beyond to develop these features, mainly because they've never done so in the past. So because that video has come out and has piqued my interest, I want to talk realistically with some data and numbers about what Genshin Impact is really pulling in now. How successful is the game? And trust me when I say it, content creators feel it first before you guys ever get to feel like the decline of something. Content creators, because we have more data to work with, right? Our viewership is very indicative of the game's success and heat and overall excitement for the game and its relevant topics. So here, let's cut out of the screen and allow me to show you guys this. What is this? This is a Genshin player count tracker. Now, a lot of people want to immediately disregard this, especially those who really love Genshin, but trust me, if you just stick with me to the end, I'm not here to hate or shit on the game. I'm just telling you guys what is happening, and I'm gonna tell you likely why it's happening and what will likely be the trajectory of the game going forward. Okay, we cool? Let's just continue. So this is what Genshin is roughly pulling in. This website tracks a bunch of game and its player base. Now, they do say it's not fully accurate, but it is a good estimate. They do estimate, all right? So of course, take this with a grain of salt because Genshin doesn't give access to this kind of data, but this has been relatively consistent and updated throughout the history of Genshin, and they've done a great job with other games as well. So it's credible, but it's not fully accurate. Currently, they do track every 1 hour how many users do interact with Genshin, and 555,000. Immediately like, well, okay, that's impressive. That's a huge amount of players, and active players across 30 days is 65 million. That is an impressive number in any game, right? So immediately, just right out the gate, you know Genshin Impact is fine. Genshin Impact is doing solid. However, we don't compete based on relatives. We compete with ourselves. No company want to feel like they are doing worse than they did yesterday. If every day they're doing worse than they did yesterday, this calls for maybe a boardroom meeting. This calls for something to change, right? So the reason why I want to show you guys this data is because we want to look at Genshin across a period of time. It's not just, oh, how are they doing right this very moment, and compared to like League of Legends, compared to Overwatch, because we all know EroticWalruss is a company that will not be content just sitting in a room seeing their product decline over time, which Genshin has a very, very clear decline. So right here, if you guys think losing half of your peak player count isn't means to worry, just because your average monthly players has not changed, actually should worry you. You know why that is? What this actually indicates is that players are logging in and staying logged in shorter, right? Think about it. All-time peak. You can only get an all-time peak of 8 million if players are logging in and they're staying in, and during the peak hours people are still logged in, and it all tallies up to being 8 million. What is happening right now is that most likely what people are doing is they're logging in doing their dailies, or more people are logging in doing the dailies, or maybe not even doing the dailies, maybe just logging in, collecting their welcome moons, then dipping the fuck out. This is why you guys will see the average monthly players has not really changed. In fact, it's actually increasing over time. And of course, I'll talk about that a little later. But in the moment, we're seeing a huge dip in all-time peaks. People don't want to stay logged in to the game. And this is not been happening since like, oh, but it's 3.7, 3.8. No. This started happening on January 30th when they tracked this, right? When they retracked this. So for people who are curious, oh, what patch was that, right? If you guys don't know what patch that was, roughly it was between patch 3.4 and 3.5. So what happened during that? Well, patch 3.4 was when Al Haytham and Yaya came out. That was a strong character, and all content creators, theorycrafters, something like Al Haytham is strong. So if it was because it was a lack of interest due to characters, well, Al Haytham was plenty strong enough. Not to mention, New Location in the Desert also came out in 3.4. That wasn't enough to get people to come back and stay committed. Well, what about 3.5? 3.5 Dia came out, another very anticipated character. Yes, it was poorly designed in my opinion, and the character was just not good all around. Still, an anticipated character, people didn't come back. Same thing, New Sumeru Desert, like in 3.6. New Sumeru Desert area, new characters, Baiju came out, Kavei came out. What happened? Nothing happened. People still logged in, claimed their dailies, right? And we know that again because of the total number of player base. Never really changed. In fact, it's only gotten up. Look, the total number of Genshin's player base has only steadily climbed, but their peak player base has not gone anywhere. So this whole discussion of is Genshin dying, I assure you Genshin is not dying, right? So you guys might be disappointed. Oh, Walrus, why are you clickbaiting? If it's not dying, why did I even watch this video? No, it's because Genshin is actually living on in kind of this weird zombie state, because most of its player base is just mindlessly logging in, claiming their daily rewards, or if even that, I honestly would love a metric to see how many people are actually playing Genshin Impact's events, because that's much more telltale of the engagement. Because truly, when it comes to Genshin, I do believe more people are playing the events than playing Spiral Abyss. I honest to God, I believe that to be true. Comment down below, which one do you think has more participants? The events of Genshin Impact every patch, or the Spiral Abyss of Genshin every single patch? I'm pretty sure it's events, because Genshin has actively wanted to promote its casual playing experience. Now, let's talk about how Genshin was not able to only sustain its max number of player base, but actively increase it. That is because Genshin Impact runs ads. Now, you guys might think it's a huge meme, right? Just like how Honkai Star Rail with the Natasha ad, you guys think it's a huge meme. Let me ask you guys this. If it's not working, why do they keep running it? Right? It's a very simple answer. It works, and it works better than you guys think. You guys are not giving Genshin Impact enough credit for pulling in new players. One thing Genshin Impact does extremely well is it holds its player essentially hostage. Once you get roped into Genshin Impact, you see how little effort it takes to sustain your account, to upkeep your account, to eventually get what you want. Imagine saying, well, if you give me $1 every month and in like 10 years, I'll give you $1 million. Most people would not hesitate to say, oh, $1. I mean, okay, I guess, right? Because the payoff is so good. Same thing for Genshin Impact. Just give us 10 minutes of your time, and 6 months down the line, you can pull for any character that you want, any waifu that you could possibly desire, or husbando, right? Chiseled abs, husbando, anyone. Just give us 10 minutes of your time every day. That's the trade-off. And to most people, well, I spend 10 minutes sitting on the toilet for goddamn, like 10 minutes a day sounds like a bargain. That's the trade-off for Genshin, and that's how they need to get this game in front of as many people as possible, because at the end of the day, everybody's gonna be weighing these options. Be like, oh, I just have to give 10-15 minutes of my day every day, and in due time, I'm gonna be able to pick like like any character I want, even constellations, whatnot. And if I'm able to spend, let's say, $5 a month, then I can even expedite this process even more or get far more than I bargained for. So that's the trick of Genshin Impact. They run ads, pull in new players, and I assure you, Genshin is gaining players faster than they're losing players, because once people are roped in, very few want to quit. Few players want to leave this bargain space because they're like, oh, well, you know, I'm really not putting in much. Truly, you guys are not putting in much, right? Like logging in for 10 days, anybody can do that. They're not demanding an hour. That's the thing, right? Genshin's dying. Anytime a video like that ever pops up, you know it's false. You know it's false. But look what is happening is people are now playing this game in a zombie-like state. Is Fontaine going to change this? I don't think so. Ultimately, until Genshin wants to keep their players logged in for longer, nothing's going to change. I'm 100% certain Genshin actually prefers it like this. Why? Why does Genshin prefer it like this? It's because, number one, it puts less load on their servers at a time. Number two, people who are spending money are still spending money. They don't give a damn if you're logging in playing for 10 hours a day or you're just logging in for 2 minutes. If you're buying your welcome moon, you're buying your BP, you're paying for gems, you're pulling for your characters, who cares? In fact, like, they might even save some money in the long run if this number halves even more and gets down to 2 million, 1 million, as long as they maintain an overall number of player base. At the end of the day, they might even shrink down their server sizes. I'm not kidding. It saves them more money. They still make the exact same amount of money. They have a huge player base. They run more ads, get more players, get people hooked on, just commit 10 minutes of it. Listen, if they could do it, they could get you to commit 1 second of your day and 10x their player base. They'll do it. They'll design the game to only take like half a second, a fraction of a second, if it means like 20xing, 40xing their player base. If 200 million players log on and all they have to do is give 1 second a day, HoYoVerse wouldn't mind, because at the end of the day, it's a revenue, right? They don't really care if you're playing endlessly or not at all. As long as you do your daily check-in, as long as you give them the money, that's all they want. That's why I think this is actually more so orchestrated by HoYoVerse than it is by the players losing interest. Fontaine likely will have a small spike in peak activity, but it'll very quickly die back down, right? For HoYoVerse, this is the best case scenario. Less people crowding your servers, but overall you keep the same amount of player base. And that's the secret sauce to Genshin. Honestly, I think it's brilliant. In the future, developers should be looking at what Genshin is doing and try to replicate it. Screw the end game, screw the difficult content, screw the time commitment, because eventually that's going to burn people out. If you just keep people barely committed to your game every single day, this is a psychological trick to actually extend the shelf life of your game for a very long time. Like, Genshin has no business still being this popular, but it's only because they've been able to extend their shelf life artificially through these business tactics. Have they been able to endure the test of time? And truly, I do think more titles will be learning from Genshin, and the whole casual gameplay meta might just take you guys by storm. So that's the topic for this video. Comment, subscribe if you like it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, stay safe. Peace, peace. Bye bye.